Welcome to Behind the Podcast Mic, the podcast for podcasters and those ready to hit record for the first time. Join your host, Emmanuel Rose, for a show that's your go-to resource for everything podcasting. In each episode, we'll pull back the curtain on what makes podcasting such a powerful tool for connection, authority, and growth. Whether you're just starting out or looking to sharpen your skills, this show will guide you through the art and strategy of building a podcast that stands out. We'll dive into solo insights, guest interviews, and real-world best practices, all designed to help you master the mic. Behind the Mic is sponsored by Fluent Frame, a creative partner that transforms your ideas into polished episodes and lasting digital assets. So tune in and learn how podcasting can grow your audience, expand your network, and position you as a thought leader in your field. Let's step behind the mic.
Welcome to this episode of Behind the Podcast Mic. I'm in the mobile studios, the Silver Bullet, coming to you from Saskatchewan, the plains of Saskatchewan. And got an opportunity today to speak with somebody who has over 500 pods under his belt. And Rick is going to join us, and his bio is fascinating. He is an award-winning podcaster, a boomerpreneur. He's voice talent, an author, photographer, adventurer, speaker, and consultant. And he is committed to one thing, and that is my success. Rick Saez, thanks so much for joining me today and talking about podcasting.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is going to be fun. I'll try to help you be more successful.
I appreciate it. So tell me the name of your pod again.
The Outdoor Adventure Lifestyle Podcast.
Very nice. And so Outdoor Adventures, which you started how many years ago?
Ooh, God, I think it's almost 10 years ago now. 539 episodes, I think it is. So every week plus some. Yeah, it's been a while.
10 years ago, the tech might have been a little bit different than it is now. Tell me a little
Pretty
bit.
Different. There was no Zoom.
There
was not as much remote opportunities. There weren't as many hosting places. You know, it's pretty much Libsyn and a couple places, and that was it. And now there's just so many ways to create and record, places to record like Zoom. You and I use Zoom a lot. And, so many places to distribute, so many avenues and so many, distributors from Spotify and Apple to all the other little guys. It's just exploded since then. It's been good.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. So what does your tech stack look like right now? What's kind of the equipment look like?
Well, my tech stack in the studio, so to speak, I'm pretty much recording from a dining room table, which I don't have a studio. I found that I use ATR 2100 mics, and you can pretty much record anywhere with those, and you don't get a lot of bouncing noise and things like that. They're dynamic mic, and I love that because I can take them on the road and then record on the road as well.
Nice.
So ATR 2100 mics. I just have Bose headphones. I record probably these days 90% of everything in Zoom because I like to see the person while you're talking. It just kind of helps the conversation, if you can see them and, know when you say something and they go frowning or when they say something and they laugh. That's always a good tell. But yeah, it used to be you had to record them pretty much remotely I had a Zoom handy recorder, which is a little device. That's a mobile device where I recorded directly to that, or I recorded directly into, I can't remember the software I used online, but now there's so many ways to record either in studio or remotely, like you're remotely. That's my plan, is to do a lot more of that, because I think it's, having an outdoor podcast, it just makes sense to do it outdoor. And you and I are pretty active outdoors doing things like fishing and hunting and hiking and camping and stuff. So I think that's a great place to record from.
Yeah, well, especially when that's the focus of your pod, you got to be able to do it outside, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Well, let's see. Over the course of that period of time, what are some of the benefits that you found from doing your podcast?
It's really expanded my exposure, obviously. I think when you talk to someone and you distribute a podcast in so many different places between you and that person, you double your exposure, right? If they do a good job of, you know, some people don't do a good job of promoting themselves. They're kind of shy about that. But, you know, those folks that do a good job of that, you just get a ton of exposure and people discover your podcast that you wouldn't even have thought of, you know, so it really expands your listener base. It expands your audience. It expands the opportunity of people for you to talk to. I think that's another cool thing. You know, I had people that come on that reached me through listening to a friend of theirs on the show and gave me their bio. And I said, yeah, absolutely. Let's get you on the show, you know? So it just expands all the opportunities, I think.
Yeah, I think that's true. And it gives you also just this permanent kind of content stream to be able to put out on the social platform, right?
That's right. Yeah. Social media and pods, right? I mean, you know, you think doing a weekly pod is no big deal, but it's sometimes you probably found the same thing where I'm scrambling to get a guest to record a few days before I go live every Tuesday. So a few days before that. So I have time to publish and produce and all those things. So when you have just a number of people to talk to, those guests can come from anywhere.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about that cadence that you keep in terms of publishing weekly and how you choose client or guests and what the workload is like to make that happen.
Yeah, I pretty much my requirements for a guest is you've got to have some connection, either you work in or you know, play in the outdoor adventure travel space. If you're not connected to one of those two in some way, I'm probably going to pass on you as a guest. And I've had a lot of people reach out to me and I'll say, no, I'm not, you know, granted you're this little one tiny corner of adventure travel, but there's like you and 10 other people. So, you know,
Right.
I'm
Too
not
small.
gonna,
Right.
yeah, it's a little too small, you know, and it's not one of those things that's really exciting. So it just, you know, you have to set your parameters for the guests, but it gives you that exposure gives you a lot of opportunities to turn people down and say yes to people, you know, and then member of the OWAA, Outdoor Writers Association of America. And that's another place that provides another guest opportunities. So I think the exposure is the biggest thing. It's one of the most beneficial things I've found.
Yeah, and then so you have some people who are inquiring about being a guest, and you're doing some outreach for guests. Once they say yes, they're going to be a guest, and where do you go from there?
So once they say yes, I send them an onboarding form and a guest link to, you know, the link that you have when you set up to record, whether it's a, you know, a Zoom link or what you're using, you know, you just send them that link. And then I use the onboarding form to get a little bit of QA on them about a bio, basically a short bio, you know, their work history, what they've done, what they plan on doing, what's in the future, you know, what activities are they in. And then all that stuff helps me create the question list. And initially, when I first started doing this, I was just doing the questions by myself through all my LinkedIn research and Facebook and all the places. And now I type the bio in and I type a couple other things in Chat GPT and I get a list of great questions in about 2 seconds, you know.
Yeah,
And I find
that's
that
a
if I
great
get,
innovation.
it's amazing. We'll probably get into that, but I use that more and more and more. But I find that if I get 10 questions, then that's pretty good because there's a couple things that pop up as you're talking to somebody, as you know, and I have a couple questions that I ask at the end. I like to get gear recommendations from people. So what's your favorite piece of outdoor gear? You know,
Yeah.
yeah. And then another one about either a place or a location that they love to be in the outdoors. That also gives me an opportunity to find other secret spots.
Yeah, I like that.
Everybody's got their secret spot.
I know. You'll never get mine out of me.
Oh
Even a whole
man,
bottle of whiskey.
mine got discovered. Mine was up in the Sierra as you're driving north on 395. As you get out of past Mammoth, there's all these foresty areas. And if you go to the right, there's this old dirt road that goes up and around and eventually goes down to the river. And I've been
Yeah.
going there with a buddy of mine was going there. I was hanging out with this guy who was, gosh, he was probably 20 years my senior, maybe even 30. Really cool old guy. He knew a buddy of mine from Bishop, and he turned me on to that spot, and we called it Campsite A because you could always count on going there and have the place to yourself. And then about, I guess, 5 years ago, I went up there on a holiday weekend, and it was like mobile home jamboree. It was packed, people everywhere.
Oh
It had been
man.
discovered, and now every time I go
Yeah.
there, there's somebody there. So you got to keep your secret spot secret. Don't tell
All
anybody.
it takes is one person to hotspot it, right?
That's right.
And
That's
put it
right.
on Facebook.
Yep.
I've been known to pull debris down and block off
Yeah, I
roads,
have too. Yeah,
like
that's what we
tire
did too.
tracks.
Yeah, we blocked the tire tracks. We put the big logs over the road.
Yeah,
All that
because
stuff. Yeah.
there's some spots that should not have a lot of traffic on them.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
we digress. Um, so let's talk a little bit about when after you do a show, it's a good show, and then what kind of promotion do you do to get people to listen? Do you do a live show, and then do you have promotion afterwards?
Yeah, I don't do it live. I do it recorded, and then I had a social media person who just left to go teach English in South Korea. So now I'm doing all that by myself. She
Yeah.
was the daughter of a buddy of mine that's way into Overland. She was great. She was fantastic. She would do all the Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all that stuff. But I really would just put it out on all my feeds. I have also, in addition to having an Instagram feed for Rick Saez, I have an outdoor adventure lifestyle podcast, Instagram and Facebook and all that. So I just put it out on those. Push it up on Libsyn. My host is Libsyn. So when you put it on Libsyn, you get a wide distribution there. So yeah, and obviously the more you do it, the more episodes you have, and the more people, discover you and find you, the more it grows. And then I also send the guest a list of links and things that they can use to share it as well. So there's some episode links. There's some links to my obviously social media. There's some quotes and quips and things that they can use if they like. So yeah.
Nice. And how many AI tools, or how much is AI playing a part in what you're doing pre and post production now?
Yeah, more and more, obviously. I think the main one I'm using right now is ChatGPT. I use that just to create the questions and, do a lot of research on the topics and things, on the guests and whatnot. I'm trying to think of what other AI tools I use. I don't think I use any on the production side. I pretty much use
A script or something like that for
use
your
a script.
shows?
Yeah, that's probably an AI tool considered. Yeah. Use a script. Use Adobe Audition. I record, like I say, on Zoom, and then I upload that into Audition, and I add all my, bumpers and music and all that stuff. Edit it in Adobe Audition. Create a WAV file and upload that to all the places. When I put it on Libsyn pushes it to a bunch of places. And then, so I only physically have to put it a couple of places, which makes it pretty easy.
Yeah, once you have that RSS feed set up, right,
Yeah.
you're able to just copy and paste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have my own website, ricksaez.com. I put every episode in ricksaez.com too.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think makes a good guest? What do you like to see from a professional podcast guest?
I think a good guest needs to be pretty engaging. I think if you have a guest who kind of sits back and is very thoughtful when they're going to answer, well, that question, let me see, they're going to, give it the old college think. And it's like, hey, come on, you just got to answer the question, So I think it's very engaging, very responsive. They're not taking too much time. They're not too slow. And then also you want to make sure, I've had a couple times where I thought somebody was more on their game and more experienced in their topic than they were. And that became a challenge. So you want to do a little research, even though they send you a bio and stuff, I do more research too than just that to find out, where, if they've been published, where they've been on other shows, those kind of things. Because I've had a couple times when, you just had to wring it out of them, and that's hard. It's really tough.
Now, do you do a pre-show interview?
I
Or
don't.
do you just go straight into episode?
I just do the onboarding thing and my research. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, that's how I weed out some of those folks is in that pre-interview,
That's
just
smart,
to make
yeah.
sure, they can show up on time and follow through.
I just got stiffed twice.
That's no good.
No bueno. No bueno.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about how or if you've been able to monetize your pod and what that looks like for you at this point.
Yeah, I've been able to monetize it a little bit, but not consistently. I haven't been able to generate the sponsorship type monetization, right? Not the consistent, regular. Coors is a sponsor, Budweiser is a sponsor of the show,
Right.
whatever, that kind of thing. Haven't had that, but I've done pretty good at creating other types of episodes than I can get people to pay for, like custom episodes, like branded episodes. Like guys, there's another term for it. I'm drawing a blank on it, but there's just these custom things where somebody wants to come on and they want to they want to talk about their own thing, right? And I'm like, okay, well, do you want to talk about it like you're the interviewer, or do you want to talk about it just me asking questions? And it goes both ways. Sometimes it's a total custom, and I just turn over the mic to them, and I'm just there to kind of keep the ball rolling. And then there's other ones where I create the list of topics because they want to talk about their business or their new initiative that they're doing, or some coming up. They're going to do a new launch of something, new product launch or something. We'll do it that way, where they'll kind of I work with them on the questions, and then we create questions that they're ready for and want.
Yeah.
And
Right.
And I can charge people to do that. So that's my biggest monetization piece.
I like that. Yeah, it's kind
You
of
can charge
one-off
more for that than you
episodes.
can in sponsorship sometimes,
Interesting.
because it's creative, custom product, right? It takes time to put that all together and do research and things like that.
Sure. Yeah.
But sometimes the
Well,
sponsorship thing, sorry, if you don't have a number of
Oh, yeah.
the downloads, then your sponsorship dollars shrink. If you don't have 10,000 downloads or 20,000
Right.
downloads, like Tim Ferriss, you get $2 an episode. Well, that's not going to buy me a beer. I don't want to do that.
What other KPIs do you use to just see how your show's performing for your own edification?
It's listeners, and it's the broad range of listeners, right? If it's just listeners on Spotify, say Spotify went off the charts and had 500 listeners, but Apple only had 40, then I know that there was something went wrong. Either we didn't promote it properly, it didn't get exposure on Apple, whatever. So you want to look at the broad distribution of listenership through all the places that you publish to. And the good news is, by publishing through Libsyn, I can see all those numbers from Libsyn. I can see Spotify, Apple, all the other, eccentric ones that are out there that I don't even know the names of, some of them,
Right.
because there's a lot of places to listen these days.
Yeah. And I'm not on Libsyn. I got to look that one up. So it's a podcast syndication company.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, yeah. They kind of, I don't know if they actually created podcasts, but they have been around since podcasts started. So they saw that opportunity and jumped in and, put up the distribution model, and they have a really good podcast themselves. Sorry, Rob, I'm drawing a blank on it. He's going to kill me when he listens to this, if he listens to this. It's called The Feed. Their podcast is called The Feed. And it's about podcasting, the business of podcasting. So that's a really good one for podcasters to listen to, because they talk about all the distribution points and all the, legal things that are going on right now that you got to do and not do and all this stuff. So they do a good job.
Nice. I'll have to check it out.
It's $20 a month. Not too bad.
Well, I probably am doing, probably have 40 shows a month. So I'll probably be on a different tier.
Maybe so, yeah. Probably.
That's cool. It's good. I need the help, obviously with syndication, but also just with the tracking, like you're talking about.
Yeah. Are you on Substack?
I don't know.
I just put mine on Substack last week because I was doing my newsletter on Substack, and a buddy of mine mentioned the podcast thing, so I threw it up there and it seemed to give me another little bump. So.
All right, cool. I'll have to check that out too. That's great. Well, what's next? What's new on the horizon for you and your podcast, Rick?
Well, I'm thinking of I've done Thursday drops off and on over the years on some specific topic, where I did some things with the Adventure Travel Trade Association, where I did specific custom episodes for them. We dropped them every Thursday for like the whole month long. So I've done that kind of thing. I really like doing that because it really allows me and the guest, or me and the guests, I've done panels before too, to dive into the topic and not have to worry about, boring half my traditional audience, because they might not be into that fly fishing or whatever it might be. Like I think you and I did a few of those on my show.
Yeah, we bored the hell out of your audience.
Well, I don't mean we bored the hell out of them, but we did custom episodes.
We did. We talked about
Camping
and gear and choice. How you choose spots and a little bit
I
of
thought that
fishing.
was good. I thought that was fun for me anyway. I don't know. I
Yeah,
didn't get any
exactly.
feedback
We
on
had
that.
fun.
Yeah, we had fun. That's what matters, right? I mean, what the hell?
Right.
That's why we're here. But I really like that. So I've got some ideas about that coming up again on specific topics. One of the things I'm trying to do monetization wise is create some custom content to sell to like destination marketing organizations and other people that promote outdoor adventure areas. I've created this thing called the audio adventure guide, where it's a little like one mini podcast episode on some audio adventure location. Like, I think I did one on Bend, Oregon, or I did one, and it's just about the outdoor activities in Bend, Oregon. So I'll go do a little research and I'll find out, okay, there's 4 main things in Bend that you want to do if you're an outdoor adventurer. So I go up and write up a little episode for each of those, just self-recorded. It's just a story about there's this hike in Bend called the Hike to Broken Top. It's this place where you go hike to and beautiful spots. So that's one of them, for example. So I do 3 or 4 of those, record them all up, create a bundle, and then go out to the group and say, hey, I got this program, audio adventure guides. I got these 4 episodes. You want to buy it? And sometimes they buy it and sometimes they don't. So, but it's pretty fun to create.
That. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, pretty fun to create. And it's pretty new. I just started it recently, and we'll see how that goes. But you can, so many destinations, and it's not even, doesn't have to be the tourism folks. It can be the outdoor folks. You can go reach out to an outdoor store who always sending the climbers to this spot and the mountain bikers over there and the paddlers over there. That kind of thing. So, we'll see how that goes.
Well, I like it. I think that's a cool way to do it. Especially, we travel a lot, and we need to know these things, right?
That's right. We need to know where we're going to go play. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, good. Any other insights you have for somebody who's thinking about a podcast and hasn't quite started yet?
I'd say just go for it. I think it's, I totally stumbled into it. I got laid off. I was working for Lowpro, the camera bag company, I guess 8 years ago. And they had just gotten purchased by another big conglomerate, and that happens. There's always layoffs and things. And the day after it happened, we saw the suits walking around and everything got hushed and everybody knew what was coming. And sure enough, I got caught up in the layoffs. And since we knew the sale was happening, a lot of us were sending our resumes around. I wasn't getting action. And so when the layoff happened, no resume response. I thought, and I was north of, just past 50 years old. And I thought, man, maybe I've aged out in the outdoor industry, right? Maybe I got to go find something else to do. And was listening to Tim Ferriss and Pat Flynn and all those guys. I had a 1 hour one-way commute to work every day. So listening to a lot of podcasts, and was listening to Tim Ferriss on the way home one day and thought, I can do a podcast and do just what Tim Ferriss does, but talk to all my friends in the outdoor industry. So did a little research, found out I had all the equipment from some of my photography days stuff, and found Libsyn and did a couple things and realized how good it was and got great feedback on my voice. And I thought, okay, well, let's do it. So I suggest you record 5 episodes before you launch, so you have some content for people to follow up with. Because if you just launch with 1 and they loved it and they're not going to hear from you again in a week, that whole week is an opportunity for them to find other podcasts. So if you've got 10 episodes, maybe a little less than that, but if you got some content for them to follow up with, then they'll stick with you. And then, figure out what your cadence is. Once a week is plenty. Don't feel like you have to do a million. Keep it simple at first. Keep your equipment simple at first. Like I say, I use Zoom to record these days. I edit everything in Adobe Audition. I can put the bumpers and all that stuff in Adobe Audition. Many ways to do that, and many places to find out how to do that these days. There's so many podcast tutorials out there. There's no shortage. So, do a little research. Come up with a topic that's pretty narrow in niche, so that you're not roaming all over the place. You want to go, deep and long instead of short and broad, because you have a lasting show if you do it that way. It'll always be something to talk about. And go for it. If you have any questions, reach out to me. I'm happy to help. I'm sure Manuel's happy to help. I've got a tutorial piece I can send you. Yeah, do it. Don't wait.
Yeah, I love it. That's how I feel too. It'll change your business, probably change your life by having a podcast.
Yeah.
So,
well, and you never know. Like this whole audio adventure guide thing came out of my podcast. I don't know how I would have done that, but it just, and that was a suggestion from ChatGPT, by the way. So don't be afraid to use AI either.
Yeah, that's also one of the secrets, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah.
Well, it's good talk, Rick. Thank you so much for spending some time talking about podcasting, and I hope that audio adventure series gets some traction for you, because it's a
Awesome.
great idea.
Thanks, Emmanuel. Yeah, good to talk to you.
Yep. Okay.
Have fun out there.
See you again soon. I will. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on Behind the Podcast, Mike. If you found today's episode helpful, be sure to subscribe and share it with someone else who's thinking about starting or leveling up their podcast. This show is sponsored by Fluent Frame, your creative partner in building a podcasting system that works. From professional production to strategic distribution, Fluent Frame helps turn your voice into a scalable content engine that drives visibility, trust, and growth. Ready to launch or improve your podcast? Visit influentframe.com to learn how they can help bring your vision to life. Until next time, keep creating, keep connecting, and keep stepping up